Good day, friends. It's your homie, Mikey GloveSave, with hockey picks for that ass on a Wednesday afternoon. Mikey GloveSave is coming off a really, really bad Tuesday. If you didn't see my post on Twitter, it's pretty bad. How bad? Well, did you ever see Step Brothers? Remember when they weren't supposed to use the power tools to make the bunk beds? And then John C. Reilly comes out and he's like, "It's so bad. It's so bad. Why did you let us do that?" That was Mikey GloveSave last night. Thankfully, Tuesdays are a short day for Mikey GloveSave, and he wasn't able to get his picks out to the GloveSave Posse, so y'all dodged a bullet on that one. But we are transparent here. Mikey GloveSave needs to maintain credibility, so if we want to know how bad it was and how many units I was down... Oh, hey, by the way, have you heard the new Guar album? Oh, I'm sorry about that, friends. I was a bit distracted. I don't know if any of you heard the new Guar album. I don't even know if Guar has a new album. I actually got that from a Beavis and Butthead episode back in the 90s, but what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, so actually, how bad was last night? Oh, hey, look, a squirrel! Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I got distracted again. Where were we? Oh, yeah, the picks for tonight. Okay, we're going to start off with the Stars of Dallas versus the Devils of New Jersey. Daddy got the Stars at even money on Fanatics. We got Ottinger backing goal. Even if it was DeSmith, I wouldn't have any reservations. I thought he played very well last night. He's been playing well as of late. But anyway, this is why Daddy likes Dallas. The Stars are probably not too happy about the embarrassing loss to the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden last night. And you probably think, well, Mikey GloveSave, it was a tight game. They lost in overtime. It's not like they got their asses kicked. No, they didn't get their asses kicked. Let me say that again. They lost to the New York Rangers on the New York Rangers' own home ice. Do you know how embarrassing that is? That is like, that puts you in a category of like, you don't want to show your face in public type stuff right there. So, thankfully, they have a very short drive over to New Jersey, which I'm sure they easily completed last night. Probably was able to throw down a couple beers, have a nice dinner, and slam a few hockey groupies before getting a good night's sleep. I don't have any reservation about them coming out hot against New Jersey. This is a spot for New Jersey. They are rested. They lost their last two games. This is a home game, so they are kind of set up, you know, logistically to have a good game tonight, but I don't think that's going to override the embarrassment of last night. So I took the Stars money line. However, I do expect this to be a tight game, so Daddy also put a half unit on the draw. I got that at plus 330 on FanDuel. And for the Sabres versus the Flyers, Daddy's got the over 6 flat at minus 115 on Caesars. This actually opened at 5.5, and then it moved to 6 flat to 6.5 on various books. So Daddy got in on a pretty decent deal here. Urson's in net for Philadelphia. In his 8 games so far this season, there's only one game where he has let in under 3 goals. There was one game where he gave up 2 goals. Everything else has been 3 to 5 goals per game. Now, this new Cole Ellis dude, who I really like, by the way, is projected to be in goal for the Sabres tonight. But yeah, he'll give up a few goals. He has given up goals. And Philadelphia is probably not too happy about only scoring 1 goal against Pittsburgh. So I think they're going to come out of the gate hot. Forrester, who is Philadelphia's leading goal scorer, he's out. But I don't think that's going to stop Philadelphia from coming in with some aggressive offense. So I really like the over flat 6 on this one. And with those things in mind, Daddy could see this being like a 3-3 game going into overtime. So Daddy also took the draw for a half unit, got that at plus 330 for a half unit on FanDuel. And now for the Winnipeg Turds versus the Montreal Canadiens. Daddy got the over flat 6 at minus 122 last night on FanDuel. Didn't hesitate to grab that as soon as he saw it. It's since moved to minus 130 as of 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's 5 o'clock now, but it was at 1:30 on MGM or Caesars earlier. I don't know what it's at now, but we got Comrie and Dobish in goal tonight. So let's take a look at Comrie for a second. November, he had 8 starts. He had a game where he had a push. There were 2 games that went under and 5 that went over this mark. For Dobish, in net for Montreal tonight, every single game that he started for the Canadiens in November went over this line. So I think this is an easy over, which probably means it's going to be a 1-1 game that goes into overtime. The Sharks, or shall I call them the Megalodons, because they are playing like megalodons. I'm very impressed with what they are doing this year. You know, earlier in the season, Mikey GloveSave said, I think the Sharks are going to be a lot better this year. Mikey GloveSave was right, mother bitches. Anyway, I got the over flat 6, minus 108 on FanDuel. We're projected to have Lindgren and Askarov in net. I'll tell you, remember when the Capitals went to the playoffs 2 years ago when Lindgren was like the stud goalie that actually got them there, and now he's not doing that kind of stuff? I still remember him for what he was doing then, and I would like to see him come back to that form. But anyway, these elaborations on the over, I mean, it's just going to get a little repetitive here. Similar scenarios, different dudes, over flat 6. And per usual, as of late here, Mikey GloveSave is going to be investing in the Sharks. So he's just going to be taking little tinkles on various aspects of the Sharks tonight. And we're going to start with the team total over 2.5, minus 125 on ESPN. Going to throw a full unit on this one. Sharks have been scoring 3 or more goals lately for the most part. And with Lindgren in goal, we just went over his record. Let's take a look at how many goals he gave up in November. 4, 5, 2, 4, and 3. You combine that with an aggressive offense like the Sharks and maybe a little bit of a tired Washington Capitals team after last night. I think we're looking at some goals going in for the Sharks, which is why I also took them for the over flat 3 at plus 115 on MGM for a full unit. And Daddy also threw a half unit on the Sharks money line plus 135. Also got that on MGM. Askarov. Side note, Mikey GloveSave got Askarov for the Vezina 200-1. Yeah, you think I'm crazy right now. Let's watch that number drop over the course of time. He's 8-2 for November. You cannot deny the way the Sharks are playing. Washington's 3rd game on the road. They had a game versus LA last night, and then they got to fly up to San Jose. And that's also from coming from New York a couple days before. They are on a 5-game win streak, though, but I think this is a San Jose spot given these circumstances. Utah versus Anaheim. Mikey GloveSave does not have a play on this from a money line or over-under perspective. He's been going back and forth with it all day, and usually when that happens, Mikey GloveSave has learned he should just leave that alone. So we got projected goalies, Vejmelka and Husso. Husso's 4th start in a row, and he's gotten progressively better with each one. He just held St. Louis to 1 goal on Monday. Utah's on a 4-game losing streak. They just got shut out by St. Louis, and St. Louis had Hofer in net on Saturday, so that was a little bad. They did score 3 goals versus San Jose on Monday with Askarov in net, which is a pretty impressive feat, but they still got pounded. Ended up losing 6-3. You got the Clayton Keller's dad situation here. I'm just going to look at some props. And with that said, let's go into the Mikey GloveSave player prop projection picks for this evening. I'm not going to try and say that 3 times fast. I already took 3 takes to try and say it once. Jamie Benn for a point, plus 131 on Caesars. Mikey GloveSave was very surprised that this point was still into the plus money here. He did move from line 1 to line 2 tonight. However, that's not a bad thing because that means he is correlating with Jason Robertson, who is the leading point getter dude and goal scorer on the Stars, and Rupe Hintz, who has 8 goals and 14 assists so far this season. Not a bad situation to be in, and his point props at plus 131. He is on PP2, but I don't think that matters at all. Dallas does a very good job distributing their power play time rather evenly, and New Jersey is only 22nd in penalty minutes, so if Ben is to get a point, statistically he should get it more likely 5-on-5. Ben has 6 points in 8 games since returning, and his point prop is at plus 131. And Daddy has a handful of props selected for the Buffalo-Philadelphia game. Let's start off with Buffalo. Josh Norris's point prop, I was still able to find that at plus 110. It's minus 120 on FanDuel. I got this on ESPN Bet Sportsbook, whatever it's called, bet. And Norris is on line 1 and PP1 with Thompson. He just had 3 points in his return to Winnipeg. So to get him at plus money is not a bad situation. On to the Flyers of Philadelphia. Owen Tippett's point. I was able to find that at even money. I found this on Fanatics. Line 2 with Couturier and Michkov also got moved up to line 2 with these dudes. He's on power play 2. Also has Michkov, his line 2 line mate, on there with him. But on power play 2, he also has Konechny and Zegras in there. So he is just in a sea of point-getting opportunity. And Mikey GloveSave found a respectable price for a point prop under that probably should go under. Actually, it's going to go under. It probably is going to go under. And I probably shouldn't have said that because now that means this dude's going to get 2 points tonight. But Noah Cates, Under a point from minus 132 on ESPN. Just pause this and go look at Noah Cates' statistics. When was the last time he got a point? Assist or goal? I'll wait. That's right. That's right. You see why Mikey GloveSave is going to take his under? On top of that, all those blanks he was putting up, he was on line 1 with Zegras and Konechny. Now he got demoted to line 3, still on power play 1 for some reason. But you know why he got demoted? Because he wasn't doing dick. And the Flyers dudes probably said, hey, you know what? You're not doing dick, so let's go down to the third line where you're going to continue to not do dick. And let's move a dude up to the top line who's going to likely do dick. And that dude that's going to do some dick is Christian Dvorak. And his point prop is at plus 125 on Fanatics. Now, he has an opportunity to do said dick. Centering line 1 in place of Cates. 11 points in the last 15 games, and Buffalo is 31st in giving up points to centers. Daddy will gladly take that Dvorak point. And the Winnipeg Turds, Mikey GloveSave is not taking a single damn point prop for these butt nuggets. You see, friends, as we know, the beauty of hockey betting is it takes the sports books a while to catch up to changes, and that's why we're able to get such good prices on these point props for dudes moving up on lines and so forth. But it also takes them a while to catch on to teams that are not doing so well. Hence the Winnipeg Jets. These dudes are still getting priced like they're the President's Cup winners, and have you seen their stats? Have you seen what's been going on? They're slower than whale shit sinking to the bottom of the ocean. That's why I call them the Winnipeg Turds. It's like, you know how when you take a dump and you got like that thick, hard turd that comes out and it just kind of drops out really slow, and it's just like, and then it gets stuck. And then you're like, oh, crap. So then you shake your booty a little bit to try and get it out, and you're shaking it, and it finally comes out, and you're like, oh, my God, thank God that's over. That's what the Winnipeg Jets remind me of. The only one that tempts me is the guy that continues to tempt me, and I'm not falling for it this time, is Cole Perfarty. He's the only dude that has any value to his point prop, but there's really no value because he ain't doing anything. I don't care what line he's on. So I'm not falling for Perfarty. I will take... For Montreal, though, I'll take Zach Balduke, who's on line 1 with Suzuki and Caulfield. His point props at plus 135. That's a great price for a dude on that line with dudes that produce. Utah versus Anaheim. The player props that Daddy has selected for this one is as follows. First of all, this first one was inspired by my man Perlo, as he was talking about this dude on his live stream last night. And I'll tell you what, if you're not tuning into Perlo's live stream nightly with Rico and Bari, NHL All-Star bets, and exotic wagers, you're really missing out on some educational opportunity and a few laughs. This guy, Daniil Butt, all right? They just brought this dude's up. Perlo was talking about him. This dude just sounds like a stud muffin and a monster. They're putting him on line 2 and power play 2, correlating with Logan Cooley, who's the leading point registerer guy and goal scorer on the Utah Mammoth. And we're going to get this guy. I got his point prop. Perlo was like, yeah, let's take him for a goal. I don't know if his point prop was posted anywhere at that time, but Daddy found it for plus 140 on the Sportsbook ESPN Bet Score book. And Daddy's also going to take J.J. Peterka for a point. Found him at plus 104 on FanDuel. Line 1 with Keller and Schmaltz also on PP2. Got to take his point prop there. And props for the Ducks of Anaheim. Mikey GloveSave's taken Mason McTavish for a point. Found this at even money, surprisingly, on Barstool Sports Scorebook, ESPN book bet. 80% hit rate in the last 5 games, 60% hit rate in the last 10 and 15. And it's easy to see why, because he is centering on line 2, Seneca and Gauthier. I'm always tempted to say Gauthier because that's how it's spelled. I think it's funny that it's spelled Gauthier, but you get Gooch out of that somehow. We all know what the Gooch is. If I ever interviewed Cutter Gauthier, the first thing I would ask him would be, did you have a troubled childhood going through elementary school and all that with the name Gooch? I don't even know if kids back then knew what the Gooch was. We always called it a taint back in my day. Anyway, McTavish is also on Power Play 1. I think that the point prop here at even money is a gift. But let's take a look at Seneca and Gauthier a little bit more, shall we? Because Seneca has 8 points in the last 8 games, and Gauthier has 9 points in the last 8 games, which is why I also took their point prop combo. Got that at plus 135 on Fanatics. If you have access to Bet365, you can probably get a significantly better price on that combo. The final game of the evening, Washington Capitals versus San Jose Megalodons. This should be pretty quick here. Bouvillier for a point, plus 120 on most books. He's on the top line with Strome and Ovi, also on power play too. He's on a 4-game point streak. Also, Ryan Leonard, I got his point prop at plus 110 on FanDuel. He has been producing as a line 3 winger, also on power play 1. 4 points in the last 5 games, 6 points in the last 10. So that's Bouvillier for a point and Leonard for a point. And the books have finally caught up to Will Smith. But you know who they haven't caught up to yet? Double T, Tyler Toffoli. Daddy got his point prop at plus 105 on ESPN Bet. He's on line 1 with Smith and Celebrini. On power play 2, however. But let's take a look at this here. He just had 4 points versus Utah. 7 points in the last 5 games. And you're going to give me his point prop at plus 105. Thank you very much. And that does it for the Mikey GloveSave show today, friends. You know what? Nobody ever really hits the like button for Mikey GloveSave. Mikey GloveSave hasn't gotten any new subscribers or anything. So how about just giving it a little tappy? Tap, tap, taparoo. Mikey GloveSave out.